Hi, this is Margaret Meloni, and welcome to the Death Dhamma podcast. Open and honest discussions with wise and skillful teachers about their experiences with life, death, and Buddhism. If you wonder how others on the path have dealt with death and dying and grief, then be sure to listen in. Everybody has a story, a perspective, and a valuable lesson to share. Embrace death, live a full life, and learn how to love impermanence. Because as my dear father used to say, nobody gets out of this alive. Hello, my friends. It's a very exciting day today on the Death Dhamma podcast because, drumroll, excitement, fireworks, etc., my book, Sitting with Death, Buddhist Insights to help you face your fears and live a peaceful life, is now available on your favorite Amazon.com site. And to celebrate, today I am sharing with you a chapter from the book, because right now you can get Kindle and you can get the paperback, and it's going to be a few months until the audio version is ready. But you, as my community and listeners, today I'm sharing with you a chapter of the book, and I hope that inspires you to want more, in which case, like I said, go look for Sitting with Death by Margaret Meloni on Amazon, or come to margaretmeloni.com and join my list to get all the updates. And today I'm bringing to you the chapter entitled, This is Not Easy for Any of Us. Not only is death not easy for us, the way in which some people behave toward the dying can be difficult to observe. As a volunteer during the AIDS pandemic, Noel Illuminate witnessed this firsthand. Too many times, by the way, one time is too many, he saw how people would turn their backs on AIDS patients. Listening to people try to make illness and death the fault of the dying was much more difficult than watching people die. As he told me this, I wondered out loud, do people still treat the dying as if it is their fault? Unfortunately, in some instances, the answer is yes. For some people, blaming others for their death is a coping mechanism. Oh, he smoked. Well, of course he had lung cancer. Or, oh, she was an emergency room nurse. Well, of course she caught COVID. It's not easy to listen to others blame your dead loved one. And you don't have to participate in this type of discussion. Take care of yourself first. It's not your responsibility to help everyone else come to terms with death. I'm not suggesting that you never help others. I am suggesting that you assess the situation. Use your discernment to recognize where and when to use your strength. One of my teachers has reminded me on more than one occasion, you cannot give what you do not have. When you are better positioned to do so, send compassion to the person who tried to assign blame for death. With that person, or what that person is really trying to do, is cope. Not everyone is able to participate in the type of training and preparation that's part of your practice. If a reason and a cause can be assigned to death, and if there's a way to make that death someone else's fault, then his or her fears can be put to rest. Thinking about death can be delayed. Just avoid what the deceased did, and you can cheat death. Of course, this is false logic, but fear is not typically a logic-based emotion. Other people's behaviors and their needs to explain away death will not make sense to you. Just remember, this is not easy for any of us. Overcoming regret. Avoiding death doesn't make it less difficult. I understand the desire to try and forget about death until it arrives for yourself or others, but please consider the benefits of consistency in your practice. Venerable Sumedha encourages us all to be positive and realistic. Your practice will help you to come to terms with your life and to overcome regret. Regret over your own past behaviors and regret over troubles in your relationships. He believes that even 10 to 15 minutes of meditation each day can make a huge difference and bring you much inner peace. Your practice will also give you the capacity to make better decisions in your own life. Better decisions lead to less regret and better relationships. Your ability to release regret is critical to how you handle the loss of your loved ones and to your ability to experience your own peaceful death. In more than one discussion, the topic of regret surfaced, and the role of regret in grief and death. Venerable Guanzin shared with me the realization that when he was bereft over the loss of his father, he began to understand that this came from feeling regret that he would never again spend time with his father. Venerable D was wonderfully open about the role that regret and trauma played when he lost his father, and then years later his mother. With his father, there was the regret of having been in a relationship with an abuser. While in some ways, his father's death freed him from that abuse, it also introduced him to the trauma that he was carrying. Grieving for his father was really wrapped up in the sadness and regret that was such a significant part of that relationship. Before there is death, you can work on regret. In the Dhammapada, a collection of sayings attributed to the Buddha, is this verse: "Some do not understand that we must die, but those who realize this settle their quarrels." Now, I would not have envisioned my father as someone with quarrels to settle, but with an understanding that he would die, my father made sure that I would not wonder about his love for me or about what he really thought of me and my life choices. On a phone call a few years before his cancer diagnosis, Dad became very serious, and he told me that he always wanted me to know that he loved me and he was proud of me, and that there was nothing I had done that he was upset over. It was an important and difficult and liberating conversation. Important and difficult because together we were acknowledging out loud that his death would come. Liberating because it removed any hint of guilt or thought of parental disapproval. In that phone call, Dad made sure I did not have to wonder about his support for me. And that was quite a gift. After he passed, my mother and I built a very rewarding friendship. During that time, we were able to release any hard feelings or misunderstandings that we harbored. So my father, my mother, and my husband and I were fortunate to be able to let go of regret. This is not always the case. Diane Wild, Venerable D, and I have all spent time sharing Buddhism in the California State Prison System. Diane and Venerable D have spent much more time than I have. But we have all heard incarcerated men and women express sadness over broken relationships. We have seen them cry at the idea of losing a parent or friend without being able to work through hard feelings or say, "I'm sorry." This is not just true for the incarcerated. There will be people with whom you lose touch, or who you think you have more time with, or you're not able to move forward with. When this occurs, treat yourself with loving kindness, and when you are ready, include him or her in your metta practice too. Consider writing a letter with what you wanted to say, and then read it out loud. You can still work on releasing your regret and move yourself to a place of peace with your past relationships. Have an open heart. Working with others who are grieving has taught me an important lesson. Not only is this difficult for all of us, but there are different degrees of difficulty and suffering. Others have experiences that are completely different from yours. I will admit there has been a time or two where I realized that I was being judgmental about the way in which somebody was navigating their grief. There was this part of me that just knew how they should act, what they needed to hear, and more. Or I would look at somebody and think, yes, it sucks that your dog died, but you should be able to get up and leave your house and go to work. But one day it hit me. I was beginning to act in a way that I found objectionable when I was grieving. When people would come to me and tell me what I should be doing or how I should be acting. And it really annoyed me. So how embarrassing. But at the same time, what an amazing lesson in compassion and understanding the suffering of others. It doesn't matter if I think you should be able to get up and go to work the day after your dog died. It doesn't matter if I think you should be able to pull it together and go to the grocery store by yourself. What matters is that you are suffering. And it's not my role to judge what is acceptable suffering. To be helpful, I need to simply understand that you are suffering. And to be compassionate is to see your suffering and wish to alleviate your suffering and act when I can. Sometimes the most compassionate thing I can do is to send you metta. With this realization came another component to my death training plan. A reminder that just because I have walked through an experience does not mean I am an expert or stronger or doing a better job. We are not all running the exact same race. So let's support one another's experiences. Venerable Karma Lekshe Somo wisely said to me, I think the most important thing is for us to have an open heart. To have an open heart to meet each person wherever they may be. We have a tendency to want to change others. The only person we can really change is ourselves. But often, by intending to transform others, we do them injustice. In starting these discussions with our 12 wise teachers, I wondered, was I going to learn the secret to dealing with death? Probably one of our teachers was going to tell me how to make this easy, or share with me that now it's easy for him or her. But that's not what happened. In a group of people with a collective hundreds of years of spiritual practice, not one of them said, okay, Margaret, this is easy. Here is the secret. Or, oh, Margaret, this is easy. There's a secret, but I can't tell you. We had excellent discussion about how to make death less painful, alleviate suffering, and take care of ourselves. But there was never a promise that grief would simply go away. This is not easy for any of us. Keep practicing and training yourself, and when grief arises, follow the advice of Venerable Karma Lekshe Somo. Keep an open heart and meet yourself wherever you may be. And that is the chapter, This is Not Easy for Any of Us. Thank you for listening. This has been the Death Dhamma podcast with Margaret Meloni. Thank you for being here. Your reviews and comments are greatly appreciated. And please come find me on margaretmeloni.com. MargaretMeloni. And don't forget to check out Carpooling with Death, How Living with Death Will Make You Stronger, Wiser, and Fearless. Available in all your favorite formats over on Amazon. And most importantly, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be safe, at ease, and free from suffering. Bye for now.